When you rotate an iOS device, obviously the aspect ratio or height to width ratio of the screen changes. You can configure the elements within your GUI to change with the rotation using the auto rotation features included in iOS. Let's take a look. As I rotate this device, you may notice a problem. And that's that in all but the portrait orientation, the Save Info button on the bottom of the screen disappears. And this is a common problem because the aspect ratio of the iOS devices, both the iPad and the iPhone, cause the device to be either taller than it is wide or wider than it is tall at different orientations. So there are controls within the interface in Xcode that allow us to adjust for this. You also might notice that as we rotate, the text fields are the same size no matter where we are in the rotation. So we can adjust those two things here in the storyboard. I'm going to click on our view controller, and I'm going to go to the controller that looks a little bit like a ruler. It's called the Size Inspector. And you'll notice the Size Inspector has two sections. The first section lets you select an origin point for any element that you select. So here, I'll select this top text area. Its origin is in the upper left-hand corner, which happens to be 20 on the x-axis and 20 on the y-axis. It also lets us set a width and height from here. Now, the second section of this is the one that's the most interesting to us. If I mouse over the example, it'll show us exactly how that object will react as the device is rotated. And the auto sizing box is how we control that. If you look here, it is anchored to the top and left-hand side of the screen, meaning the space between the top of the GUI and the left-hand side of the GUI and the object itself will remain constant. Now, if I want the object to stretch when we rotate it, I can click right here on the auto sizing, and this will stretch the object horizontally while keeping it anchored to the top of the screen. Let's do this for all three of our text areas and see how the text fields react now when the device is rotated. So we'll go ahead and again run the application inside our simulator to see how it reacts. Now watch carefully as I rotate the device. Notice that the width of the text fields changes as the device is rotated, but proportionally they occupy the same amount of width. Here we have, in portrait orientation, approximately a 20 pixel margin on either side. If I rotate to landscape, we still have that same margin on either side, but the width of the text field itself has changed. Now, we haven't solved the problem of this button, which is anchored to the bottom of our surface. Here we have it same distance from the left-hand side and same distance from the top. If I take away simply that anchoring it to the top, let's see what happens. Again, I'll run it in our device simulator. And watch carefully as I rotate the device. Now, the button moves up or moves down with the rotation of the device. So now the button remains visible. Now, if I wanted to, I could, instead of anchoring it to the left, anchor it to the right and to the bottom. And now we'll actually have a much better reaction when we rotate the device, because we've anchored it to the bottom and the right side, making those distances constant no matter what orientation the device is in. And now the button will be visible in any orientation and have the same relative spacing in any orientation. So let's go ahead and try and rotate the device again, carefully watching the button, which is anchored to the bottom right-hand corner. So using the auto-sizing box here in Xcode, we can carefully resize each of the objects within our GUI to make it react optimally when the device is rotated.